In this video, I'm going to talk about what cognitive therapy is and why it's so important to have an accurate belief system in dealing with mental health conditions. For instance, an anxious thought may cause one to feel nervous or tense or scared, and that those emotions can produce behaviors where people may avoid certain situations or things because of the thoughts they're having. So psychologists and therapists often come across common cognitive distortions or ways of not thinking correctly that they use to try and correct. Some of them include one, selective abstraction, where maybe only part of the event a conclusion is based from and not the whole event itself. Another thing is minimization, perhaps minimizing any of the positives or good from the situation and focusing just on the negative situation. Another one is someone blaming themselves too much for how a situation goes when it may not be in their total control. Drawing conclusions when there's little evidence to support that conclusion. Overgeneralizing an event because one event occurred doesn't necessarily mean all events will occur that way. Or maybe it's also blowing events or blowing things out of proportion, such as making a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak. So these are some examples of how thinking can be off the mark or distorted, and this can cause a variety of emotions in relation to it. For example, sad thoughts or depressing thoughts can cause sad or depressing feelings. In return, that can lead people to isolate or to not answer phone calls or to change their behaviors as a result. A human being can experience several different emotions, and some people may find it more difficult to identify these emotions than others. There are various ways to work through these cognitive distortions, and one way is how I showed in a previous video on a practical approach to cognitive therapy. As you work more deeply into the negative thoughts or negative feelings, there's going to be certain terms that come up that are going to really push one's value system or belief system. And if we take a simple definition of what the beliefs are, it could be just something that a statement is true or accurate, or the evidence that something exists. In order to effectively deal with some of these situations, some interpersonal skills or terms are going to develop, such as the question about forgiveness, or how to deal with someone who's mistreating. If someone is hurting you intentionally, how to deal with them. Do you fight back? Do you tell others? Do you sort of bear it patiently? What to do if your supervisor or manager is mistreating you or not displaying good moral behavior. So as you can see, some of these circumstances or events that can cause one's thoughts or feelings or actions to change can get very deep. Actually, in mild cases of mental health problems like anxiety, depression, mood changes, it's okay to see someone in your religious field or faith, such as a rabbi for someone who's Jewish or a priest who's Christian, as they may be able to help to shed light on the situation. This is why it's important to have a therapist or psychologist of someone with a similar faith or background, and why you also would, if you're working through cognitive therapy or therapy, need to be in touch with your faith and your belief system, because it's really going to be the basis of how your patterns of behaviors, how you act, how you think over the course of your days and your life.